Hey guys, it's Michael from Chess Lifestyle, and in today's video, I went to Regents Park to just train some chess in the nice sunny weather, and I had like a couple really interesting positions on knight endgames that I was studying, and I thought I'd share with you guys in the video. So yeah, feel free to stay and try these positions out yourself. So yeah, before I get stuck into my own training, I thought I'd show you guys this position. This is the very first position in the sub-chapter I'm reading. And yeah, it's white's turn to play. And you need to find a way to somehow deal with black's very strong threat of king b4, attacking the knight, attacking the pawn. The pawn is going up the board. So yeah, what would you play here as white? Feel free to pause the video. So yeah, actually this is a very basic tip that anyone from any level can actually appreciate, and I didn't really know this. But when the king is extremely far away from the action, one way, or like the best way to actually defend a loose pawn with the knight is to actually defend it from the rear. Those are Dvoretsky's words, not mine. So in fact, the best move in this position is knight to c4. And this is a great way of dealing with the threat of king b4, because now you can suddenly bring the knight to d2, and on king c3, even though the pawn and the knight are forked and the king is too far away to defend the knight, if you move the knight, you lose the pawn. So in this position, it looks like maybe there's a problem for white. But the whole point is that when you defend a pawn with the knight from the rear, the king is actually unable to take the knight, because then the pawn is going to race up the board and black won't be able to capture it. For instance, if king takes d2, the pawn can go up. So I mean, okay, it's white's turn to move. So let's say white starts to bring his king closer, because then once the king is in action, it will be able to help defend the pawn and it will be an easy win. And if black ever tries to take the knight, the pawn will run and there is no catching this pawn. As soon as the black king goes behind the pawn, it is now too late to stop the passed pawn. So for anyone that hasn't read up on their Nimzovich, which was the very first ever author of a chess strategy book of my system, he described these passed pawns as dangerous criminals. So yeah, if you aren't careful, they're going to start running and they can't be stopped. So yeah, I'm going to get on with my own training now. If I do really well and get done with my whole chapter, I will then move on to my laptop, which Nicola has set me some homework based on positions from the Benoni. And if I do extremely well, then I'll even have a chance to take a look at this book, 1,000 Splendid Suns, which I'm halfway through. Absolutely extraordinary book, gut-wrenching. Would really recommend reading it. So yeah, I'm going to get on and study now. See you guys soon. So I'm now up to the tragic comedies section, which is normally held at the end of the chapter just before the exercises. And what Dvoretsky means by tragic comedies are real-life games where positions relevant to the chapter have appeared and where the players have just played god-awfully and messed up the game. So actually in this position, this was a game that was played between Troldalen and Schuster in the Groningen Junior Championships. Groningen is in Netherlands, I believe. And yeah, we have this position, and it is black's turn to move and black to play and win. So feel free to pause the video if you want to have a think about what is the best move here for black. So yeah, in this position, I had a very brief look at it because, you know, right now I'm not sitting here calculating, I'm just trying to take in the material, and I just thought, okay, probably the best try, given what we discussed earlier in the video, that maybe like some kind of knight c7, I can play this out, maybe some knight c7, and on king c5, we'll play king d3. And the idea being, if king c6, king c4, king takes c7, king b5, and, you know, we'll win the pawn and then we'll promote. But of course, actually, after king b5, white simply goes king d6, and when we take the pawn, the king comes to king c5, and this is in fact a draw. So I'll play that out. So here, king d6 a very, very smart move. The reason being is because now white takes the opposition, and even though black has a pawn up, this is actually a drawn endgame because the black king can never escape in front of the pawn. Like, white will just keep the king trapped using the opposition, and there's no way black can get out, and the only way he can get out is via this way. But then as soon as the king reaches the corner, or even this square actually, this is quite unknown, but if you can reach this square, it's already a draw. But yeah, king gets to the corner, it's a draw when it's a rook's pawn. So that's the situation there. So if we go back to the starting position, the win is actually really, really pretty, which is why I wanted to show you guys. So in fact, if you like, pause the video again and you can have another think to try and understand what the best move is. So given what we talked about, how the knight defending the pawn from the rear is the best way to defend the position, if we in fact go knight f6, I think Dvoretsky gave it a double exclam in this position, because it looks so odd, like you're moving away from the action, but the point is you go knight f6 to d7 to b8, and from b8 you're defending the pawn, and you'll suck this king further away from the action, which will actually lead to a crucial tempo gained, and therefore win the game. So after knight f6, king c5 going after this pawn, we have knight d7 check, king c6, can't come here due to the knight, and knight b8 check. Really, really strong idea. And now after king b7, attacking both the knight and the pawn, now we can bring the king in. So king d5, I think it's what was written, and after king takes b8, a very important moment. We need to play king c6, which we would consider shouldering the king, even though let's say we can go this way. The point is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, it's the same number of moves, but by playing king c6, you stop the white king from coming up to try and defend. For instance, if you went this way, white could come here, you go here, white goes here, you take, and we have the exact same problem as before. But in this position, you have the option to shoulder because you've distracted the king all the way out to this b8 square, and now there's no way he can get back in time. Like, okay, king c8, king b5, and now the pawn is lost, and now there's no chance for the white king to go opposite the black king, and there's no chance for the white king to reach the corner. So that would have been an amazing finish to this game if black had found this win. But unfortunately for black, he didn't. And honestly, so many strong players do not fight hard enough in the end game. Often they will just agree a draw when it feels drawish, or they think they've read something somewhere and they're like, oh yeah, this is a draw. But really, if you fight and you keep looking and you keep looking for resources, you'll be surprised how often there's actually some winning resource or some drawing resource. So definitely keep that in mind when you're playing some tricky endgames in the future. So yeah, that's really all from me today. I just wanted to say that if you're in London, actually, this Saturday, probably Dylan is going to come up to London, and I made a bunch of friends who are like really into videography and photography, and one of them happened to really be into chess as well. So we're gonna all meet up on Saturday and actually do our very first episode of Street Chess Live. So if you're in the neighborhood, like if you come to Oxford Street, like probably quite close to Oxford Circus, we're gonna just like set up a table, set up some boards, and just like try and film some chess against like the public. So that should be pretty damn exciting. So yeah, come along, enjoy what we have in store, and yeah, maybe see you there. And of course, work on your Dvoretsky, work on your endgames, and you'll definitely take your chess to the next level. So okay, see you next time. Bye.